I think I have a lot of experience playing Traveler, considering I made an entire series where I could only play him. And according to Battle Chronicles, I have played Traveler for 155 days, and I have at least a total of 500 hours on Traveler. So I think I qualify to say that I'm a pretty avid Traveler player. And I think, as such, I have a very qualified voice in ranking all of the Travelers. Since a lot of people barely touch the Traveler, I feel like some people don't really understand which Traveler is the best. So, without further ado, let's begin. First and foremost, I think one of the biggest debates about the Traveler is which of the two twins is the better one. If you don't know, Aether and Lumine actually have slightly different stats that only have an effect if you really play the Traveler only. Because the stats are very minuscule that if you're just using Traveler as a sub DPS or support, you won't ever see it. So let's go over the differences between the two. Aether deals more poise damage than Lumine. Now, if you don't know what poise damage is, that's understandable. Basically, poise damage is a hidden stat which causes enemies to be exhausted. After you deal a certain amount of poise damage, you kind of stun the enemy. Poise damage is actually pretty important, as once you break an enemy's poise, you can juggle them with charge attacks. This is pretty good, as the enemy that you're juggling can't attack you, and you can just keep doing this for literally forever. Another upside to Aether is he has more health than Lumine. He has about 20% more HP than Lumine. Also, Aether is actually taller than Lumine, and as such, Aether runs, climbs, and it jumps quicker than Lumine. And now, I must say the most important thing here is jumping, as if a character is able to jump quicker, that means that they can B-hop quicker, and a B-hop is a sprint jump into another sprint jump. And since I mostly use B-hops to travel around, the speed can quickly scale up. On the other hand, Lumine's charged attack deals about 11% more damage than Aether's charged attack. For main DPS, this makes Lumine a higher DPS on average than Aether, and while you're playing Traveler, you're going to use a lot of charged attacks. Since each Traveler has different stats, I decided to rank them independently of each other, as each elemental type has a different playstyle. Now, onto the ranking. Anemo is one of the first elements that you receive as Traveler, and its stats are pretty good. Anemo Traveler's best ability is the elemental skill, Windblade. It is a very quick attack and it does solid damage. One of the most important things about Windblade is that it automatically infuses whichever element that the Traveler has applied on them into their attack. So if you have fire on your Traveler, it will apply fire into the Windblade. This is very important, as Windblade can actually kind of make a pseudo Pyro Traveler, and you kind of can just resonate a swirl reaction whenever you want. Another important thing is that the last hit of Traveler's normal attack combo unleashes a wind strike, and this is very good as it allows you to keep doing elemental damage even if your elemental skill is on cooldown. One of the downsides of Anemo Traveler is that his elemental burst, the tornado, is actually trash and rarely ever does anything, as it will only affect small enemies and doesn't have a good radius to pick up enemies. On a positive note of Anemo Traveler, his talent materials are pretty easy to obtain, as you only have to defeat Dvalin, and Dvalin's pretty easy. Also, his best set, which is the 4-piece Viridescent Venerer, is also very easy to obtain. In general, this Traveler does a pretty good amount of damage. However, Windblade doesn't really stagger and doesn't have a big radius, so you have to play very close to enemies. As such, I'll be putting Anemo Aether into B tier and Anemo Lumine into D tier, as you're mostly playing in very close range, and you're not going to use your charge attack that much, because your normal hit combo is just better. Geo Traveler is basically unparalleled in the entire game in terms of exploration. This character can literally just break the game, as his constructs are literally the best in the game. You can just go outside of domains, and sometimes you can just go through walls with them, let's be real, it's pretty funny. As for their abilities, the Geo Traveler's elemental skill does average DPS, but it also gives a shield based on what element it reacts with. Shields are very important, as the Traveler doesn't really have a big health pool. The Geo Traveler's elemental burst is also pretty good, as it functions as an AoE, and sometimes enemies get stuck on it and it deals massive damage. Traveler unleashes a rock at the end of his normal attack combo, which is good for elemental damage. As for the downsides of Geo Traveler, the rocks are very annoying and you aren't going to get any elemental reactions, which means this Traveler is going to have much worse DPS than Anemo Traveler. However, it has a much more well-rounded kit. As for his talents, his level up materials consist of having to defeat Boreas, whom is very easy to defeat, so that isn't a problem. His artifact, however, Archaic Petra, is hard to obtain as Domain of Gunyun is very difficult. This is, however, counteracted that you can just obtain this artifact via strong boxes. As such, I'll be putting Geo Aether into A tier and Geo Lumine into S tier. Electro Traveler is terrible. While Electro Traveler's elemental skill does a significant amount of damage, it has a cooldown of 13 seconds. That is one of the longest cooldowns in the game for a mediocre ability at best. Not only that, but his elemental burst isn't even that great either. It infuses your weapon for about 3 hits and then goes away. That's it. This Traveler is genuinely terrible. It is mostly mid-ranged, but you're going to be using a lot of charge attacks. As for his talent materials, you literally have to beat Azdaha in order to get them. And Azdaha is one of the hardest bosses to do as a melee character in the entire game. And for his best artifact set, 4-piece Thundering Fury, Midsummer Courtyard sucks, as you aren't able to break any of the Mage Shield. There is, however, a strong box for this set. In general, Electro Aether is going in F tier, and Electro Lumine can go into E tier, as you're using more charge attacks. Dendro Traveler is by far the best Traveler for DPS in the entire game. First, Dendro Traveler's elemental skill is just a better version of Electro Traveler's, and it has a cooldown of 8 seconds. In addition, when you react with Hydra, you spawn these little orbs which do a lot of damage. Dendro Traveler's elemental burst, his Blossom, does AoE damage over time, and is by far the best elemental burst of every Traveler, and if it is ever set on fire, it does mega damage. And the only downside of this Traveler is that his talent level up material requires you to beat one of the hardest bosses in the game, the Raiden Shogun. His best artifact set is very easy to obtain, as the Dendro set is available in the Spire of Solidarity, and it is a very easy domain to complete. This Traveler is mostly mid-range, and you're going to be doing most of your damage via his elemental skill. As such, there's no difference between the two Travelers, and they are going to both go into S tier. There you have it, all of the Travelers ranked in comparison to each other. If you have any takes, please feel free to leave a comment down below. And as always, thank you guys so much for watching. Have a great day. Bye.